are supposed to have an agreement where taxes on imports and exports and all that would be reduced, if not abolished. I can only say for myself, but I had always proposed a trading currency, not the currency that is used in every country. You retain your currency, but for the purpose of trade, you have a trading currency, so that which is based on gold, so that we will know the value of the currency all the time. So there is at the moment no proposal at all for common currency.
I see. Okay.
Not even a trading currency. We think that we should have a trading currency because generally payments are made in US dollars, and the US dollar is not stable at times. So recently the Malaysian ringgit depreciated and now appreciated against the US dollar. If you ask me, Malaysia doesn't need the TPP. We already have good trade with many countries all over the world. Our trade is growing without the TPP. But TPP would actually be reducing free trade.
Yes.
Because it will have certain clauses that we have to adhere to. And if we fail to adhere to the provisions of the TPP, the companies can take action against governments, and this will be put before arbitration or tribunal of sorts, which we don't know who they are and what is their philosophy. So we are exposing ourselves to the possibility of being sued by companies. Well, frankly, I think the management of the finances of the country is not done quite well. I don't know what we would use, but it's not what we expect it should be. For example, government spending has gone up, borrowings have gone up, but on the other hand, there is still growth, but most of the growth is through government spending.
Yes.
And while the growth rate is still high, about 5%, but there is a deficit. Deficit both in terms of our trading partners as well as in government spending. However, when people get used to low price petrol, any increase in the price would cause a lot of resentment.
Yes.
The government did increase the price of petrol, reduce the subsidy element, and as a result, the prices went up. But it's still very low by comparison to most countries. Of course, they don't make a comparison with other countries. All they know is that before it was like this, now it's. So they are unhappy about it. It will take time for them to adjust. Planning on achieving that status by the year 2020. That is Vision 2020. But in terms of per capita income, I think we are almost there, because per capita now is about 10,000 US dollars. Of course, the US dollar has depreciated, which means that the figure is slightly bigger than when it was strong. But in terms of actual standard of living of the people, we think that it will take quite some time to achieve the status of a developed country. corruption here is said to be high, but I think there has always been corruption, but at times it seems to be more than at other times. But I think slowly there is a side towards more corruption now, which the government is trying its best to stop. But they need to take certain measures other than just laws to punish those who are corrupt, that because you punish people only after they have committed a crime. But there should be more preventive measures. We wanted to be liberal, we wanted to be to have the same ideas and standards as other people, but whether the people are ready for it or not is something else. You see, when they remove the prevention of crimes ordinance, what happens, of course, is that those people who had been placed under restricted residence, mostly gangsters or heads of gangs and all that, they were allowed to be free, and they came back and reorganized their activities, and that's why crime rate has gone up. So now the government has decided that, well, we should not be too free in terms of criminals who are likely to undermine the stability of the country. So that's why the new law is introduced. I think after I sat down, policies will change, and this affects the economy and business opportunities in the country. As a result, there was loss of support for the government, so much so that in the 2008 election, for the first time, the government could not achieve a two-thirds majority. And in the 13th election, just over, it is even worse. So I think the government needs to restudy its finances and see where it should be putting the money.
Yes.
Because, now we have money just being given to people practically for nothing. And that means for the people it may be small, for the government it is big because it involves some 7 million people.
Yeah.
See, so this hurts the balance in the government budget. Budget becomes more deficit than before. When there is a change of leaders, when there is a change in the top leadership, particularly the Prime Minister, obviously they want to show their mark on the progress of the country, and some of the policies of the past were reversed or changed, and this has resulted in people feeling the country is not, the government is not doing the right thing, I think, well, and they stopped supporting the government, which is why the results of elections were not as before. Before, we invariably win a two-thirds number of seats in parliament, but since 2008, the number of seats is much less than two-thirds, and this gives the impression of a very weak government. Once you show weakness, the opposition, of course, goes down and they start undermining the people's confidence in the government. Well, I don't see that happening, that's all. See, because the policies of the government are not such as to enable confidence to return. I was dubbed an extremist, a Malay extremist, when I became Prime Minister in 1981. But what happened was that I received support from all communities every time there is an election. I have won 5 elections with a 2/3 majority each time. So I think to me the best thing that I would call my achievement is that I did not have the kind of racial confrontation in this country. All races support the government. Malaysia has grown and developed quite remarkably during all those years. And also this race feeling, antagonistic feeling between races was not so prominent before. Somehow now race has become a very big issue, and there is no longer that cooperation between the races in order to support the government and stabilize the economy. Well, there was a policy to try and bring up the race that is poorer so that they can enjoy the same standard of living as the race which is successful. That comes under the new economic policy. The new economic policy is designed to bring up the economy, the share of the wealth of the country among the indigenous people, because if the disparity is very great, there will be confrontation because of differences in income and wealth. But when you identify the poor with a particular race, then the feeling is much stronger. Because they say that race is doing very well, we are not having our share, and that will build up tension. That was why the new economic policy was designed to reduce the disparity, not only to correct the imbalance between rich and poor, but it so happens that the poor happen to be Malays, the rich happen to be Chinese. So racial loyalty is one thing, but added to that is this disparity in terms of the share of the wealth in this country. As I said just now, the thing that I am happy about is that during my time we don't have that kind of racial confrontation as we are having now. I mean, race is not something that is bugging the people. See, because we managed to reduce the differences between the rich and the poor, and it so coincides with the disparity between the races in terms of share of the wealth. So because we were doing something for that, so the country became stable. At the same time, the growth continues. In fact, the growth was higher before, during those times when there were no racial confrontation. But now, partly because the world is not doing well, and we are a trading nation, therefore we feel the impact of our trading partners not being able to trade as much as we used to. This also affects the economy. But mainly, internally, it is about race now, unfortunately. And this needs to be attended to by the government, so that there will be less disharmony between the races, and the main thing is whether the people feel that government policy is helping them to have a decent life. Well, I'm quite sure I will not be the Prime Minister again, nor do I have any ambition to return as a Prime Minister. But I participate in the activities of the party, try to make sure that the government party wins, because I was in the same party. But there are some policies, of course, which I think needs to be attended to correct this imbalance between races. Is very, very important to explain to the people the need for that is also important. But the government, of course, wants to have to show its mark, leave its mark. And they changed a lot of policy, both foreign policy and domestic policies and all that. Apparently, the people are not very supportive of these policies. So, in the last election, the result was even worse than in the 12th election. So, that is a problem with Malaysia, because in other countries, people who accept citizenship also accept along with it the national language, the culture and all that. Here we agree that you should retain your original country's culture, your original country's language, etc., and your own schools.
Yes.
And this is very divisive. So this cannot be corrected. Well, we are an independent country, but being legally independent is not enough. We have to show our independence in that we are not subject to other people's policies, and we don't have to follow them. When we feel we need to criticize foreign policies, we do. And we believe in showing our independence. Ideologically, we are independent, and although we trade with the rest of the world, we do not allow our trading partners to use the benefits of trading with them as a way of pressuring us. So that was what the leader should be doing. But now the idea is different, that we should show that we are part of the rest of the world, and whatever they do in other parts of the world, we should follow. We should not be independent. Certainly, what we did during the financial crisis is not something that they would do today.
Yes.
During the financial crisis, we refused to bow to the pressures from the IMF and the World Bank. We devised our own way out because we want to be independent. Because if we submit to IMF, they will control our economy.
Absolutely.
And we cannot allow that. So, but presently, we seem to be wanting to accommodate views from abroad. It was a frightening thing to do, to go against almost everyone in the rest of the world. We are a small country. We wanted to do something which nobody has done. But then we examined the advice given by the IMF. IMF could see that it would only worsen the situation, raising interest rate, lowering the performance of loans and things like that to shorten period so that people go bankrupt. I thought that this was a formula for disaster. So we tried to think of some other way of getting out of that crisis. And we did certain things which were condemned by the rest of the world. All the economists and financiers all said that we will go bankrupt. But we could. And today what we are seeing is that the big countries are doing all those things that they told us not to do. See, which shows that they are not always right. that we can be right also, that we can manage our finances and economy just as well as others. But what we see today shows that our decision not to follow the IMF was the right one. It's frightening, as I said, because everybody says that you must do what the IMF tells you to do, but we would lose control of the economy under the IMF. They don't care what happens to our people. They are only thinking about the money. You see, but whenever we do anything, we have to think, what is the impact on the people? You see, if they are going to become poorer, or their money can purchase less and all that. This will create a big social problem for us. That is why we try to avoid following. In fact, at one time, there was a period when we were following the IMF without the IMF. You see, because the then Minister of Finance thought that the IMF advice should be taken by us, but it really worsened things. So, he subsequently he left the government. So we decided not to follow the IMF at all. So I think today people agree that what we did was the right thing. But it was a very frightening experience with the whole world telling you that you are going to go bankrupt. I think we should retain our independent stance. Because if we are seen to be following some other power and associating ourselves with them and not with their enemies, or what they believe will be their future enemy, then we will get embroiled in this kind of confrontation. That's not good for us. We are friends with China. We are friends also with the West. But on issues that affect our country, we are not committed to this the capitalist world or the socialist world. We are on our own. We want to be independent. But of course, the confidence of the leadership is very important. They feel confident that they can take make their own stand on issues and still continue to grow the economy and to be strong. Well, the first thing that should attract people to Malaysia, investors as well as tourists, is the stability of the country. And that stability is due to the country being governed by the same party for ever since independence. Obviously, if we have the opposition ruling this country, they will want to change. And that may mean change even in terms of their attitude towards foreign investors, and maybe there will be some instability due to change. All those things will make Malaysia less attractive. At the moment, I think it's still attractive. People still want to invest in Malaysia, but they would be able to invest more if they feel that the future is not going to see a certain radical change in the policies of the government.
And it's been described as a goal.
Hope that the opposition will not win. Because if there is a change of government, then obviously policies will change, attitudes will change. But if the ruling party is unable to sustain the support of the people, then the future of Malaysia may see a lot of instability due to changes in government. Wherever these things happen, even if you are from the same party, there will be change. But if it is an opposition party which takes over, then the change will be more radical. Well, I had promised that when I step down, I will not interfere with the the government which succeeds me, and that they have every right to change direction of policies. But sometimes when I see that things are not doing so well, I do voice my opinion through the blog and all that. Then sometimes I'm asked to speak out. And I don't want to be critical of the government because each leader has got his own way of doing things, his own policy. But when I see the government losing support of the people and the likelihood of the government party losing, I feel a need to voice my opinion. The government obviously wants to be independent. They don't want to be people to say that, well, this government is just following the last government or things like that. But sometimes I think they do take notice of what I say, but not very much. So I must accept the fact that I'm not the Prime Minister. I have no power now. So whatever they want to do, it's their right to do.
Perfect. Thank you very, very much. I
You're
very
welcome.
much appreciate it.